Hey guys, it's Ryan. This is lesson 7.1 in my Illustrator Basics course, and this is more of an advanced topic, but I feel is necessary because of what we've got going on in our projects. We're going to talk about the color libraries, and we've already talked about color and color libraries in the past. We've talked about the color harmony, the color guide panel. We're going to go into a little bit more depth in it today, and it should help with the apparel design project that we're working on in class. So let's get started. I'm going to draw some squares on the screen so that I can get some colors set up. And I'll just use the bright colors. Okay, now I have those all there, and I'm going to switch to the stroke and slash that out. Let's also distribute those very nicely and then make a copy. Okay, in the vehicle wrap project and in previous videos we've talked about how to change these colors individually, and I'm going to show you how to use the color guide to change the whole group of colors to a new set of a group, a swatch group, a color group, and you can do that very easily. So with the selection tool, and I can select that bottom row, I'm going to move this artboard up there so we can see it better. Now while it's selected, we'll go to the Recolor Artwork, which is here in the center of the top toolbar. It's also in the color guide window right here, or you can go edit to edit colors to Recolor Artwork, and I'll bring this so you can see it fairly well. So now we see that there's our colors that are selected. Apparently the orange is our base color right now. Then we have these bars that have the colors in them. We have our color group over here. If you don't see the color group, just expand that panel by clicking the little triangle there. And then it says artwork colors, and the reason it says artwork colors is because those are the colors that we have selected in the artwork right now. So you can modify based on any of the harmony rules, and we've discussed that just briefly. You can also do all sorts of other changes. What I'm going to show you right now is the way that you can manipulate and edit each individual color. So a couple of things to notice. This is the current color on the left, and it shows that there are 6. And we know that's true. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we see all 6 of those colors here. And then we see the new color that each color is going to transition to once we recolor. So what we need to do is, the first thing you can see are these little arrows. And on the arrow, as you hover over, it says controls whether color, colors in row are recolored. So if you just click that arrow, you'll see the arrow goes away. You click it again, it toggles back on. Okay, so then you can choose which of the colors you want to change or don't want to change. You can select from all of the colors that are selected, or you can do any number. So for example, if I knock down 3, then I have to pick which colors are going to edit into the 3 remaining colors. let's go back to all, excuse me, wrong direction, all of them. Okay, so when I want to change a color, there's a couple of ways you can do it. You can come down here and slide to change the color using the sliders, and you can either use the hue, saturation, brightness, you can use RGB, you can use CMYK, etc. So we've discussed that in a previous lesson. If you need to know what these sliders mean and have a refresher on that, go ahead. However, once you make changes, there's no real easy way to undo, except one kind of weird thing that I'll show you there. So if I go back to right now, you see I've changed this orange color to be more of a yellowish color. I don't want that. I want to go back to my original colors. Well, my original colors were the artwork that I had selected here. So if I click this little eyedropper thing, it doesn't make any sense, but it says get colors from selected art. So I click that, it goes back to what I had selected before I did the recolor effect. So keep that in mind if you want to change things and then realize you've gone too far and you don't want to change them. There is that reset kind of function there using the eyedropper. So let's, for example, change this orange, and let's do something a little lighter, a little more, or excuse me, less saturated. This is the saturation, and brighter, 100% brightness. Okay, I think I like that. Let's knock all of these down to that same 58%, 100%, 58, 100%. This one doesn't change the saturation very much, but it did change the brightness, and then the red. And I'm not really sure why the order is the order that it was given. Why orange was first, because red was the first square that I created, and then drug those all across there. So now we see it's kind of, it's all of these same colors, and they are faded. They're a little bit more muted in the saturation, but they still have the brightness. So what I can do is create a new color group, and when you do that, here it is. So let's double click on it to rename, and I'll call these not so brights because they're not as bright. And then it's going to ask me an interesting question. Now when you're looking at this question, it says save changes to swatch group not so brights before closing. So what it's asking is, do you want to save the changes that you just made? All I did was change the name. Once I'd created the group, I'd only changed the name. So if I hit yes, then that's fine. It saved them. I can go check my swatches. There they are. However, come back in here, and I still have my not so brights again. If I want to only change one of the colors, for example, this green, I wanted a little more yellowish to the green and a little brighter or something like that, and then I click OK or hit enter, it asks if I want to save changes to the swatch group not so brights. What it means is it's going to change these colors in my swatch group to match the changes I just made. Well, what if I don't want to do that? What if I only wanted that change to happen on the artwork that I have selected? So in that case, I would not click yes. I would go ahead and click no, and that way the colors and I'll show you. Let's drag this down here, and the color that I created changed for the green is not from this group. So if I go back to my group, and then you can see there's a subtle difference. This green is a little more yellow than this green, and the rest are all the same as they were from the color group rather than the previously selected artwork. So just keep that in mind as you're working with the Recolor. Then everything else, as we've already discussed, you can change the colors. Let me click, I'll go with this one here again, and I'll go back to the Recolor Artwork. When you're editing colors, you can do some interesting things. This will randomly change the color order. So you see the orange becomes the red, the yellow becomes the green becomes the yellow, the blue stays blue apparently, purple and purple, and then it's just random, and you can change that, you know, as many times as you'd like, and it just changes the order. So you can also do randomly changes the saturation and brightness. So it's the same hue that you had. Let me go back to my selected artwork. It changes the hue, randomly changes the saturation and brightness of all of these. The hue stayed the same. The orange is still orange, yellow still, you know, yellowish color, etc. on down the line. And then there's another thing that you can do. You can click on the colors above to find them in the artwork, and I'll click that, and let's say I want to find where that green is. And so I can just click on the green and it shows it in the artwork, so I can tell. And this is very useful if you have a lot of similar colors, like a bunch of different greens that are very close to the same hue, saturation, and brightness, and you're trying to figure out which is the one that you want to change. So you could do that. For example, if I took this as my base color, and then I went to an analogous swatch, and then click OK. Oops, what did I do? Oh, I forgot to, yeah. I forgot to click the little Recolor Art section or checkbox down there. So I do that. And now if I'm confused at which color is which, see they're kind of close, I can click the click on, and oh, that's the one that I wanted to change, or whatever. Maybe it wasn't, maybe I wanted to change the third box, so I'll just keep clicking until I get to that third box, and it's right there. So that's what that function does. I'm going to go ahead and go back to my not so brights, because I want to use those as my color in my selection. I'll click the Recolor Art again, so it knows that I want to recolor them. And then I want to show you one other thing. Color reduction, you can add or reduce the colors just like we did over there, right here, but then it also gives you some other things. These are definitely more advanced than the class that I'm teaching, but just bear in mind that there are some ways that you can sort the hue, scale the tints, and do some different colorizing and sorting. So basically, we'll go into this in the advanced class or the intermediate class. Not sure which yet, but anyway, it's a lot more detailed work with the color functions here in Adobe Illustrator. So another thing you can do is edit. And remember, I showed you with one of the previous videos this color wheel. There are a couple of things you can do with the color wheel. First, we have it on the saturation and hue. So you can see it becomes less saturated towards the center, more saturated towards the outside. You have smooth colors. You can change that to a segmented. So you can pick, you know, if I know that I want like a medium pink or whatever, you can choose that. You can do color bars instead. I prefer the continuous color wheel so that there's so many more color choices. Then there's also the brightness and hue wheel, which is, as you see, it's a little different. It shows the brightness and it shows the hue, and so you can bring it from bright down to dark and change the colors that way. So there's those back and forth options, and then you also still have the sliders down here as you're even as you're within the edit box here this way. So one thing to keep in mind is to watch out for this link here. If you link it, or if it's linked by default, you'll see these straight lines connecting the colors, and as you drag the colors around, you'll see that they are, you know, quite constrained to each other. And then if you uncheck or unclick that link and you see it's broken, you'll see a dotted line, and so that way when you move one of the colors, it doesn't affect all the others. And then you can just relink it again. You can add or remove colors from your list here. I'm going to skip that option. We'll go back to there. We'll go back to my not so brights, and now I have the colors that I wanted. But I want to change their order. So one thing to see, one thing that you'll see is I have the colors that I have selected here on the artwork. They are not in the same order as this here, so I can drag to move this red. Let's drag that up here. Well, that changed it to over there. So you can move the colors around in any order that you'd like. And what it does, as you see, I have kind of a series here from the rainbow. However, if I had some more detailed artwork that had, you know, intricate shapes and things all bunched up together, it doesn't mean the order of the colors as they appear in the row here. It's the order of which color is going to interact and change to this other color. So right now this pink, kind of a flesh color, well, it's more of a, I don't know what you'd call that, peach. Not quite a salmon, this one's more of a salmon. Anyway, it's going to turn green. So if we don't want that to turn green, we want this darker color to turn green. Well, any of the artwork that was previously colored with this darker color is now going to be that green as you drag them back and forth. So you may be sitting in your chair saying, hey Ryan, show me a specific example. So I think I will. We're going to go into one of my old files that I did. Not sure which one I want. There we go. Okay, so here I have my Ferrari vehicle wrap that I started and worked on over the vehicle wrap project, and I've shown you some things with that. I want to select this, just this vehicle down here, this view, and I'm going to then go into the Recolor Artwork. So I'll do that. I'll click Recolor Artwork. You can see I've got a couple of things. I've got a black, a white, this blue, and the yellow. Now by default, the Recolor Artwork tool will leave off the black and the white. It will leave them as they exist. And the reason you may want to do that is, if you have black or white lines, or black shadows, or white highlights, or something on your artwork that you're using, and you don't necessarily want to change those, but you want to change the other artwork in your layout. So what you can do is you can either leave those off, or you can click them on to add, whoops, wrong direction again, to add a color. And I can check to make sure that all the colors, whoops, no, I did it again. So now all the colors have a color to change to. So as I go through here and pick a different color, for example, I can go with a nice dark green for the body of the vehicle now. And then I can change the other colors, and they will also reflect whatever I do to these. So for example, I can select the white and bring the saturation up, and maybe not so much, and make it a nice deeper, more purple than a blue. There we go. Boy, that's vibrant. It's hurting my eyes. Okay, so I want that color. I can add things. Unfortunately, since my beginning star color was white, as were the stripes, that star will not change colors. And unfortunately, the white highlight that I have in the windshield here and the rear window are also going to turn this purple. So think about that as you're planning your recoloring. Do I want to separate some things first? Do I want to change the color just so I can change it on the fly? And then go ahead and do that. So I'm going to cancel out of this, and it went back. Let's isolate this star. Come on. Oh, that's right. I forgot it's in the layer, but it's in the group below there. So I want that path right there. So let's turn that star into a nice red, just so I have it separated from the other colors. And then I'll also do the stripes, and those stripes are here and here. And let's turn those on as selected. And again, if you can't select your artwork for whatever reason, if you've drawn inside, sometimes this happens, especially if you have a clipping mask or another path in front of that, and you want to select that. Remember, you can go into isolation mode and go through the layers panel and choose the actual, the physical. You can choose that artwork by going through the layers panel. So I'm going to change these to be a blue fill with, well, I guess the black stroke is fine. Actually, I don't want the black stroke, because if I have that black stroke, then again, when I select, it's going to select the black stroke that's also on the windshield. So I need to go back in here in the star and do the same. Change the black stroke to something else. Alright, now I think I'm ready. I'll exit isolation mode. That actually doesn't look too bad. I kind of like that. We'll select the whole vehicle, and then again go into Recolor Artwork, And now you see I have a bunch of colors. I have quite a bit more. I think I'm going to take the white and the black off of my color options here. And again, I previously explained why you might do that. So the black lines and the white highlights in the vehicle, in the design itself, are going to be skipped. So if that line is minus without the arrowhead, then that means we'll just skip that part. Okay, so let's color some vehicle, or color our vehicle. Let's go with a red. I actually want to leave the windshield also alone. We'll select red as our color, and we'll click, come on red. That's the base color. So let's move that up to the base color. There we go. Now it's selecting the proper color. So now I have red as my base color, and I can come in here to, oh, that pentagram looks fun. But I want the star to be the body color. So let's move that down to where the yellow is, because that's where that tan, this orangish tan, is coming out. The bright green color as my blue. This is the blue right here. And again, if you're trying to look at it, go, wait, what am I selecting? Which is the color that's which? Turn this down and click on the color. Okay, now I want the stripes. So I want those stripes to actually be blue. So I can unclick that and drag the blue stripe down there. There we go. That's not what I wanted. Now the purple. Oh, because it was the other blue. See, it's kind of tricky playing with these colors and figuring out exactly what you want to have happen. Maybe it would be easier to go this way, and I'll unlink and I'll select my purple and give that the blue, and the blue is the border. So let's make that fairly close to the red, maybe a little bit off for some nice highlight. The green color, I really don't even like that at all. And then let's make the star a brighter yellow. And we can knock that up all the way to 100% there. And right there. As you're dragging the slider, you'll see, so I can drag it all the way over here to red, and it doesn't reflect that in the artwork itself until I let go of the slider. So keep that in mind as well. I want that color right there. Yeah, I think I like that. All right, so now that I have my colors, I have everything assigned, I have everything all set up the way that I want. So let's call this new color group Ferrari. What is Ferrari? 2 R's here, or the other way? I think it's 2 R's there. And then click new color group, and now I have those colors, and I can click OK. And then I can use those colors in the other views of the artwork. All right, so that is the color guides, the color groups, and how to manipulate and change those colors, some of those settings. And again, this is a little bit more advanced than I really anticipated going into for this class. However, as you can see, it's very useful for quickly changing all of the colors or individual colors on the fly as you're working in Adobe Illustrator. So I hope you enjoyed that. This again was lesson 7.1. Next I will talk on 8.1, and we're going to go into templates. So stick around for that, and we'll catch you next time.